Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In my last video, I have covered what is thread group with its methods and purpose with the touch of real life as well as practical scenario. In this video, we are going to discuss about some basic and important methods of thread class with its purpose and implementation in simplified way. And additionally, at the end, I will summarize all the points once again all we are going to discuss in this video. So just keep watching till end. You will get clear view about thread class basic methods. Okay. So without wasting time, let's get started. So thread class is the main class on which Java multi-threading system is based, and thread class supports several constructors and methods. Among them, constructors are used for creating threads to perform various tasks, whereas thread class methods are used to manage and control the threads. So thread class constructors we have already discussed in the previous video. And in this video we are going to discuss about some basic and important methods of thread class. Okay. So here I have listed out some basic and important methods of thread class. Start method, run method, get name method, set name method, current thread method, get id method, and is alive method. So all these methods we are going to discuss one by one with example. Okay. So here I have already created a class and it's test class, and now inside main method let's create a thread. Okay. So thread, and it's suppose thread 1 equals to thread. So here I have created thread and it's thread 1 using this constructor. Okay. Now after creating a thread, we will need to start it, and we can start the thread by using start method. So start method is one of the method of thread class which is used to start the thread. So let's start the thread by calling start method on it. Now question comes that is it compulsory to call start method on thread object to start the thread? So yes, it is compulsory because when we call the start method on the thread object, then lot of things happen internally. Such as when we call the start method on the thread object, the JVM creates a new native thread, also called as system thread, to interact with the underlying operating system to access OS level resources, and that native thread correspond to your newly created thread. And then JVM allocate a new stack for the new thread because each thread has its own stack, and then schedule the new thread for execution by the help of thread scheduler. And once thread schedule for the execution by the help of thread scheduler, that means once thread scheduler allocates CPU time to the thread for execution, then internally run method get called and thread start executing code written inside run method. So all these things happen internally, and therefore we will need to call start method on thread object after creating a new thread. So basically, simply keep in mind when we call start method on thread object, then thread actually start its execution as a separate thread. Okay, clear? And remember one thing, if you call start method multiple time on the same thread object, then it can cause illegal thread state exception. Now see here, I have already called start method on this thread 1 object, and if I call start method again on this same thread object, then let's see what will happen. Now let's run the code and let's see. You can see here we have got an illegal thread state exception. And we are getting this exception because when you create new thread, it is in the new or born state, and when we call start method on thread, it enter into a runnable state and start executing its run method, right? All this I have already explained in thread lifecycle video. And once the thread has completed executing code inside run method, it move to the dead state. And once thread enter into a dead state, we cannot start the thread again. And if you try to start the thread again, then that means if you try to call start method on thread that already in the dead state, you can get an illegal thread state exception, and therefore we cannot call start method multiple time on the same thread object. Clear up to this? Okay. Now let me comment out this line. Okay. Now see here, I have created a new thread and it's thread 1, right? Now we will need to provide some work or task to this newly created thread to execute, because we create thread to perform specific task, right? And we can provide task to the thread using run method only. So basically the run method define the task that the thread is supposed to perform, and inside run method you can put the logic that you want to execute. And run method is available in thread class as well as in runnable interface, and therefore you can override the run method either by extending thread class or by implementing runnable interface. So let's override the run method, but before that let's implement runnable interface. You can extend thread class also, but most recommended way is to override the run method by implementing runnable interface. Of course, it has some reasons that already I have explained somewhere in previous videos. Okay, so first let's implement the runnable interface. You can see here, just press Ctrl and click. So here this is runnable interface, and it has only one run method that we have to override in our class. Okay, so let's override it. At override and public void run. And here inside run method you can put your logic that thread will execute. Okay, so for now just write here hello my thread. Okay, so at the time of execution this thread one will create using this constructor. But how compiler understand that this newly created thread have to execute this test class run method? Because we want to execute this class run method, right? So for that, to make compiler understand, we will need to pass object of this class to this constructor. So let's create the object of this class. So test new test, and now pass this test object to this constructor. Okay, all right. And now when this thread will create, then this class run method will execute, because here we have passed the object of this class, and therefore compiler will understand that test class run method have to execute. Okay, clear? Now let's run the code, but before that let's understand the execution flow of this program, how flow will go. Okay, so when I will run this code, then at first JVM is invoked and will load this test class into a memory, and automatically will create a special thread called as main thread, and the main thread will execute this main method, which is the entry point of this program. So remember, JVM create main thread to execute main method for every Java program, not only for multi-threaded program. Okay, even if we print simple hello world in Java, even then also JVM will create main thread to execute main method. Okay, after that the program control will come over here, and main thread will create object of this test class and allocate memory to it on heap area. Then control will come to this, and main thread will create a new thread object, or we can say new thread, and JVM will assign default name to this newly created thread, like thread 0, thread 1. So when thread is created, then it is in new state or born state, right? So now this thread 1 is in a new state but hasn't started executing yet. Okay, after that control will come over here, and internally this thread 1 is registered with JVM's thread scheduler, and a new stack will create for this new thread, and then thread will enter into runnable state and will wait there for its turn to be scheduled. And now thread scheduler is responsible to schedule this thread for execution. And once thread scheduler schedule this thread, that means when the thread scheduler gives CPU time to thread 1, then internally this class run method will invoke. because here we have passed the object of this class, and therefore this class run method will invoke and thread 1 will start executing code written inside run method. And now thread 1 is in running state, and this hello my thread will print on console. And once thread 1 finish executing code inside run method, then it enter into a dead state. This means thread 1 will terminate, and there is no more code inside main method to execute, and therefore main thread will also terminate. And when both main thread and thread 1 have terminate, the JVM can shut down and the program will end. Okay, clear? Now let's run the code and let's see. You can see here we have got an expected output. Hello my thread. So up to this, I hope you understand what is the use of start and run method. Don't worry, at the end I will summarize all the points once again, then you will clearly understand it. Okay? So as I said before, when we create new thread, then JVM assign a default name to each newly created thread, such as thread 0 or thread 1 at the time of thread creation, right? And we can check it out. So if I write here inside println method thread 1 dot get name, and here we can write thread 1 default name is, okay, default name is. And let me do one thing here. Okay, now let's run the code and let's see. You can see here thread 1 default name is thread hyphen 0. So this is default name of thread 1 which JVM assign at the time of thread creation. Okay, and we can give our own suggested name to the thread also, because these default names such as thread 0, thread 1, thread 2 doesn't make sense, because thread name should be meaningful. Let's imagine you are working on big real-time multi-threaded application and there thousands of threads are created, and if all threads are named thread 0, thread 1, thread 2, then it's extremely difficult to figure out which thread is performing particular task, as well as it also become difficult to find out which thread is causing a problem, right? Because if exception occur in thread, the thread name is often included in the error message, and this can help you quickly identify which thread causes the error. And if we give meaningful name to the thread, for example, suppose a thread which is responsible to perform task of database connectivity, then the name that thread as database connection thread. It can help to quickly identify a thread, right? And therefore giving meaningful name to the thread can help to quickly identify thread and its related task. And we can give name to the thread by two ways: using constructor at the time of thread creation, that already we have discussed in the thread constructor video, and we can give name to the thread using set name method also. So let's see how we can give name to the thread using set name method. Okay, so here suppose I want to give name to this thread 1. So for that I will need to write thread 1 dot set name and provide here name. You can provide any name. Okay, so for now let's provide here my thread 1. Okay, so here my thread 1 name will set to this thread 1. So this set name method is also one of the method of thread class which is used to set name to the thread. That is, using set name method we can set name or we can give name to any thread. Okay, now let's get this thread name using get name method. So for that we will need to write inside println method after setting name. Okay, and here we will need to write thread1 dot get name. So it will return the name of thread1 that we have set for it, and it's my thread1. Now let's run the code and let's see. You can see here the default name of thread1 is thread-0, and after setting name to the thread1, the thread1 name is my thread1. Okay, clear? So in this way we can set the name to the thread and we can get the name of thread using setName and getName method. Okay, clear up to this? So as I explained before, at the time of execution flow, JVM automatically create main thread which is responsible to execute main method, and main method will create new thread, that is thread 1, which is responsible to execute run method, right? So basically in this program two threads are running, main thread and thread 1. And if we want to identify which thread is currently running, then we can check it out using current thread method. So current thread method is one of the method of thread class which return a reference of currently executing thread object or a thread. Okay. Now question comes that why do we need to identify currently executing thread? What is use of it? What's the purpose of it, right? So I will come to this later. First, let's implement this current thread method practically. Okay. So for that, we can write inside main method. Here we can write currently executing thread inside main method is thread dot current thread method. So here current thread method is static method of thread class, and that's why we can directly access it using thread class name. Okay. Because static members we can directly access by using its class name, no need to create object and all, right? And that's why I have written here thread class name and it's thread and dot current thread method, and here we will have to write dot get name method. Okay, all right. So here getName method will return the name of currently executing thread, because getName method is used to get the name of thread, right? That already I have explained. Okay, that's it, nothing we have to do. Now let's run the code and let's see. You can see here current thread inside main method is main thread, and if we call this current thread method inside a run method, then let's see what will be the output. Just right here inside the run method and just change here current thread inside run method. Okay, now let's run it again. You can see here current thread inside run method is my thread 1, and this my thread 1 name we set to this thread 1 object. Okay, all right. So it's clear that main thread is responsible to execute main method, and newly created thread, that is thread 1, is responsible to execute run method. Okay, all right. So in this way we can identify currently executing thread using current thread method. Okay, clear? And there is one method in thread class and it's a get id method. So the get id method is the method of thread class. It return a long value that represent the unique id of thread. So we can use this get id method to get the id of thread. So question comes that why do we need to get the id of thread? What is use of it, right? So each thread has its own unique id which JVM assign at the time of thread creation, and it's unique, it cannot be same. Okay, and we can use thread id for debugging purpose, because if exception occur in a thread, the thread name and the thread ID is often included in the error message, and this can help you quickly identify which thread causes the problem. So the name of thread that we have suggested can be same, but the thread ID is unique. So using thread ID, we can correctly identify the thread. Okay. Now let's implement getID method practically. So here suppose we want to get the ID of this thread1 object. Okay. So for that we will have to write inside println method ID of thread1. Okay. And let's write here thread1 dot get ID. Okay, and that's it. It will return the ID of thread 1. Similarly, we can identify currently executing thread. So currently executing thread inside main method is main thread, right? So we can write main thread ID is, and here we will have to write thread dot current thread dot get ID. Okay, so it will return the ID of currently executing thread inside main method. And inside main method, currently executing thread is main thread, right? So basically it will return the ID of main thread. Okay, now let's run the code. You can see here thread 1 ID is 23 and main thread ID is 1. So in this way we can get the ID of thread using getID method. So always keep in mind, using getName method we can retrieve the name of any thread and currently executing thread, and using getID method we can retrieve ID of any thread and ID of currently executing thread. Okay, now let's understand why do we need to identify currently executing thread. What is the purpose of current thread method and all. Okay, so if we notice in this program only two threads are running, main thread and thread 1, right? But imagine if you are working on big real-time multi-threaded application and there are more than thousands threads are running. So in that case, current thread method can help you to identify which thread is executing a particular piece of code to keep track on multiple threads. And second thing, we can use current thread method to get information about the currently running thread, such as its name and ID. As well as current thread method can be helpful for debugging multi-threaded application to identify which thread is executing a particular piece of code and which thread causing error. Okay, clear? Now let's focus on another method of thread class, and it's isAlive method. After that I will give quick review on all basic methods. Okay. So we know that each thread follow its life cycle. When thread is created, it enter into a new or born state, and furthermore it enter into runnable and running state. And at the end, thread got terminated. That means thread enter into a dead state. And once thread enter into a dead state, then it cannot start again. It declare as a dead, right? And if we want to check which thread is alive or which thread is active during its life cycle, so that we can perform operation on that active thread before going to die it. Okay, then we can check such active or alive threads using isAlive method. So here suppose I want to check this thread 1 is alive or terminated. Okay, so for that here I will need to write thread 1 dot is alive. Okay, that's it. So here isAlive method is also one of the method of thread class, which is used to check whether a thread is still alive or active. And this method will return true if thread has been started and has not yet dead or terminated. It means thread might be in runnable state, running state, or block and waiting state. And this method will return false if thread has not been started yet or has already terminated. It means thread might be in the new state or dead state. Okay. So basically, simply keep in mind isAlive method in Java is used to check if a thread is currently running or has completed its execution. It returns true if thread has been started and has not yet terminated. Otherwise, it return false. Okay, clear? So here isAlive method will return false. That means thread 1 is not yet alive or active because here we have called isAlive method before starting thread 1. Actually, when thread starts its execution, after that thread become alive, and therefore here it will return false. And if I call isAlive method just after starting thread 1, then it will return true. That means now thread 1 is active or alive because here we have called isAlive method after starting thread 1. That means now thread 1 starts its execution, and when thread 1 starts its execution, then it become alive, and therefore here it will return true. And here we can do one thing. We can write here is thread 1 is alive before start. Okay, and here we can write is thread 1 is alive after start. Okay, now let's run the code and let's check it out. You can see here we have got an expected output. Okay, so here thread 1 is alive before start is false, and thread 1 is alive after start is true. So in this way we can use isAlive method to check the status of thread. Okay, alright. Now I am going to summarize all the points once again so that you can get quick review on all the basic methods. Okay, so always keep in mind start method is used to initiate execution of thread, as well as it helps to initiate lot of things internally that already we have discussed. So when you create new thread, then it is necessary to start it by calling start method on thread object. Otherwise you don't get the benefit of multi-threading, and thread object will work as a normal Java object. Okay, and run method is heart of thread. You can put your logic or code inside run method that thread will execute. Or in simple words, we can say run method is the execution code of thread. Okay, and remember, run method is available in thread class as well as in runnable interface. You can override it either by extending thread class or by implementing runnable interface. No problem at all. Okay, and get name and get id method are used to get name and id of any thread and currently executing thread. So thread name and thread id are often used for debugging multi-threaded applications. Okay, and setName method is used to set name to the thread so that in big multi-threaded application you can easily identify the thread by its name and its related task, as well as it helps to monitor all the threads. And remember, we cannot set id to the threads because id is unique for every threads that JVM assign at the time of thread creation. We cannot change the id of thread. Java doesn't allow it. And current thread method is used to retrieve or to get current thread name and id. And another method is isAlive method, which is used to check the status of thread. That is, it check each thread is alive or dead, so that we can perform operations on it before going to die it. Okay, that's it. And if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. It motivates me a lot to make such interesting videos for you. Now I am going to end this session, and in the next session I will explain daemon threads and their methods. Okay, so I will see you in the next session. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and thank you so much for watching.